Welcome to Stem Cell Activators with Dr. Joseph Cristiano. Dr. Joe is a naturopathic doctor with over 45 years of experience in natural health. Listen and discover how stem cell activators are helping people enjoy a greater quality of life.
Hi, I'm Dr. Joe Cristiano. Welcome to my show. I'm so glad you're here because I've got a lot of good information for you. We're talking about stem cell activators. Now, in all my shows, they're all about the activators, but we're going to educate you later in the show about how your stem cells function, what are stem cells, and of course, we're never necessarily going to talk about embryonic stem cells. If I ever do, I will mention it in advance. But we're talking about your adult stem cells and how they operate. But what happens when they don't operate properly? That's where the stem cell activators come in. But we're going to break that down for you later in the show. In fact, at the second half of the show, my wife Lori will join me and we're going to break down a condition that has to do with blood circulation and the activator for that condition in that circulatory system and how it benefits you. Oh, and probably a couple of testimonies she'll be sharing of people that have had various conditions and now are out of the woods, so to speak. And so it's going to be real informative. It'll show you how to take them and everything else. But I have a couple of testimonials in this portion of the show that I want to share, because to me, it's important for you to know that, one, there's more than one stem cell activator, and if my show today is about the circulatory system, you may not have an issue with that. But I do want you to know that there's 27 different activators. In fact, if you look at the bottom of the screen, you'll see all 27 activators and the possible applications for each one. So you may identify with something other than today's show that would be pertinent to you that you could benefit from. But I want you to know in my shows, today's show and all my shows, that there's more options available to you. See, if you can be educated and know that there's some real cutting edge options that are available, therapies that are cutting edge that you're not aware of. And I'll tell you what, many physicians aren't aware of them yet because this is so cutting edge. It's near miraculous. And I get that not only from my own experience in my research, but people like these who I read to you about that have experienced them themselves. And they've done everything else. They're under medical care and supervision, but going nowhere. And once they take the activators, next thing you know, their body's improving. Now, one thing I want to say before I talk about or read some of these testimonials is that not everybody repairs or recovers or improves identically. We're all different. There's so many factors to consider: our age, our specific condition or multiple conditions, environmental pollutants, our physiology, a number of things we have to consider so that when we have a condition and we take the stem cell activator, how long will it take, Doc, before I see results? And unfortunately, I can't tell you, but I can share, like I will with this person, how long it took them to see results. But the results aren't always the same, so I want you to keep that in mind. And also keep this in mind, too, that even if you start taking them, and even in 30 days, you don't notice anything or feel anything, don't get discouraged because the activation starts the minute you take them. It's just a matter of rejuvenating your stem cells that are not functioning properly. So that could take, well, it's an individual thing. So don't get discouraged, but let's listen to what Janet from Arizona. In fact, this is the daughter writing on behalf of her mom who was bedridden in hospital. Anyway, it goes like this here. My mother, Janet, was bedridden prior to taking the activators for the kidneys. She was in critical care at the hospital for 3 to 4 days and could hardly walk to the bathroom by herself. Within 1 week on the kidney activator, she started getting around the house without help. And within 2 weeks, she started cooking for herself. She is now living again and almost a normal life. Let me stop here. You know, when I think about someone that's bedridden, when I was a kid, I had rheumatic fever, and I was bedridden for 14 months. 14 months as a little kid, from the latter part of 9 to almost 11 years old, I was bedridden, and I missed a whole year of school, the social advancements in education and school and so forth because I was bedridden. And I understand what that does. That stops everything in your life, and particularly as we get older, to be bedridden, we are very weak, we're sickly, and recovery is becoming more difficult, and it takes much longer to recover. But in her case, She's laid up in the hospital. And then the daughter got her the stem cell activators for her kidneys. And in 1 week, she's now getting around in the house. 2 weeks later, she's even cooking for herself, and she's starting to feel herself. Her kidneys, because the symptoms that she was dealing with were warning her that something was wrong. And of course, the first thing we do is go for medical care, and that's okay. I mean, we should. But if we're not, even with medical supervision and so forth, not seeing results, it's probably because the protocols, the medications and so forth are only treating the symptoms. So she heard of the stem cell activators, she ordered them from our office, and here we go, here's her story. And in a week's time to 2 weeks, she almost got her life back. And to me, that's near miraculous. They were so thrilled. At the end, she says, "We are all so happy and could not believe the results. Of course, we thank God first and foremost for her healing, but also for sending us to you." I mean, I love to hear that. It just makes my life worth living. And listen, I don't know how much time I got, but I'm going to read another one. This is Pat from Seattle, Washington. This one is about lung disease and cancer. Okay, I was placed on hospice and was told I would never regain the use of my lungs. Think about that. My esophagus was almost totally blocked off, and one lung was completely collapsed. Now, I can't imagine how that is, what that feels like. But the breathing was nearly blocked off. Her esophagus wasn't functioning. Now, here it goes. Now, after taking 3 bottles of ONC, that's the activator for cancer, and 3 bottles for the lung, I have 75% improvement. 75% improvement. My blood tumor marker has normalized and is now showing no tumors in my blood. Here's a woman who just shared with her esophagus was totally blocked off, one lung completely collapsed. She was told she would never regain the use of her lungs, and in hospice. Listen, before my mother died, she was in the care of hospice. And to be able to come off hospice and go back home, come on. How miraculous is that? Apparently she had cancer, or her markers are at least normalizing, and now it shows that she has no tumors in her blood. My doctor never dreamed I would get this kind of healing. Thank you, Dr. Joe. You know, that's crazy. Now, for me to hear something like that, and you know, you don't hear that often, but I gotta be honest with you, we hear that an awful lot in our office. My girls in the office hear these testimonials every day. That's why I was sharing these with you. But she's taking a bottle like this. These are stem cell activator bottles. She was taking 3 of the lung, specifically for the lung tissue and cells. And she was taking the one ONC. ONC is short for oncology. And that's to help with apoptosis. It helps and assists the death of cells. See, the body will do that naturally, but when it's not functioning normally, it can be too activated or underactivated. And in her case, she was developing tumors in her lung tissue. But after taking the stem cell activators, both of these, one for the cancer, one for the lungs, her report was there was no more blood marker tumors, no tumor markers in her blood, and everything normalized. And that's again in a very, very short period of time. So I guess my words of encouragement is don't be discouraged, but before you decide to do chemotherapy, before you decide to have surgery, before you decide a medical examination, try everything natural if you can. If you can, I understand emergencies and emergency situations, but listen, we have been created in such a way that this body's been fashioned and created to heal itself. And as long as we can do the things that would keep our body in balance, the body will take over in doing it. So if you have a condition, a chronic condition in particular, your body's out of balance, and all the mechanisms, particularly your stem cells, are not able to heal and repair the tissue. That's why you're living with a chronic condition and probably have a medicine cabinet full of medications. But you know and I know medications at best only manage symptoms, and they leave toxicity in the body, and it builds up and it makes the body even more toxic. And when the body's toxic, it cannot heal. That's why lifestyle practices are so important. I'm going to be developing shows about lifestyle in the future to not only suggest stem cell activation, because we're in a fix. We have a health problem. Let's fix it. But now going forward, let's do some real healthy things as lifestyle practices so that we can have optimum health. So we don't have to end up in the hospital. So we don't end up bedridden. So we don't have to end up with hospice. Just because we're getting older doesn't mean we have to get sick. Just because we're getting older doesn't mean we're weak. Sure, we're not 20 years old anymore, but there's some fantastic cutting-edge technologies and therapies like these stem cell activators that are giving people another grip on life. They're really enjoying their life after the misery they've been experiencing because of the conditions they're taking, and two, the medications aren't helping. And people ask me about these stem cell activators. Well, I have to take them the rest of my life. And I said, well, listen, why don't you start off this way? If you have some blood work, in her case, she had tumor markers, she had lung issues, she had her blood work already in place. Now start with the activators. Then go back maybe 3-4 months, have some more blood work done, and test yourself and see where you are. See if you're improving. See if you're moving in the right direction. And if you are, then stay the course. And then as your tests improve, if you get into the normal ranges and things like that, and you feel comfortable, you can stop taking them. But I want you to think about this. I could ask you the very same question. How long are you going to keep taking your medication for blood pressure, or your anti-cholesterol medication, or that stomach medication? Because if you ask yourself that question and think about it, maybe you've been on blood pressure medicine for 15, 20 years. If you got off today, would your blood pressure regulate? Would it stabilize, or would it be elevated? So all that you're doing, all that you're spending in terms of medications and things are not the answer. So stem cell activators are really the next thing to improving your health. Now, before we break into that segment with Lori and myself, let me break down the stem cell function, stem cell 101, and the correlation with the activator. Stem cells, by the way, we are given those at birth. Like I say, they're not embryonic, we're talking about adult stem cells. And these guys work in a very miraculous way. If you hurt yourself, if you have a physical trauma, if you break a bone, if you sprain a bone or tissue or something like that, these stem cells will then be secreted throughout the body, and they go right to that area and they start repairing the tissue because they become that tissue. It's called differentiation, and it's just a phenomenon that's part of our creation. And when they're operating properly, you heal quickly. But when you are not healing quickly, or you have a condition that's nagging and it seems it won't go away or improve, you become chronic. And that's a great indicator to me that your stem cells are now not functioning normally. And that happens because of trauma, because of our age, because of our physiology, our current state of health, even pollutants and toxins that just ruin their function. The way they function is they communicate with each other. They signal. It's called cellular signaling. And so when we can get that signaling back up, and the way we do that is through activation. So your stem cell activators kind of turn on those stem cells that are no longer functioning. Now they start to go back to normal function where they can now communicate. In other words, the static in the communication line has been removed, and now they're back to normal function. And what happens is the tissue repairs wherever it is, lungs, heart, knees, it doesn't matter. And now the organism goes back to normal function. And that's the basics, the 101 in your stem cells, how they operate, and why stem cell activators are so cutting edge, because other than activating them, they will not get better, and your healing time and repair time will take forever. So listen, Lori and I are going to now take you over to talking about blood circulation, the stem cell activator that helps for that, some more testimonials, and how to actually take these so that you can enjoy a better quality of life. But listen, be proactive, take ownership of your health. Take ownership of your health, because nobody's going to do it for you. And I know that you're going to enjoy the results by doing so. Hi, I'm Dr. Joe Cristiano, and with me is my sidekick and wife, Lori.
Hello.
It's good to have you with me, Lori.
Thank you.
Listen, welcome to Stem Cell Revolution. What we're doing is doing a teaching on various stem cell activators and how they tie into various illnesses and conditions. And today we're talking about the blood and how important it is and the various aspects that people might be dealing with as far as chronic disease and chronic illnesses and conditions that could stem from a problem with the blood. And of course, we know when we do have a chronic issue, it's because our stem cells, our genetic material, is not functioning like they normally function. So let's get going. Maybe, Laura, you can share maybe some of the possibilities of application that these stem cells can do for us.
Sure. Well, we are talking about the blood, and it's the stem cell activator called BLD, and that stands for blood and cardiovascular. And so I'm going to read you the possible applications that people who have any blood issues, circulation and so forth, this is the one you want to order. It helps regulate intercellular communication, support cellular and tissue regeneration in the cardiovascular system, and supports blood homeostasis, oxygenation, and immune function. Has ability to render regulatory influence on development and functioning of T and B cells. And so the possible applications for someone who would want to know who needs to take the BLD for blood would be for infections, degenerative and pathological conditions, endothelium, anemia, hemorrhoids, arterial wall damage, varicose veins, circulation, and much more.
And I'm sure people listening are hearing that they're relating to it. They always don't know what's going on. And so we have these symptoms.
Yes.
So now we go to the doctor and we, doc, I've got these spider veins or I have varicose veins or cardiovascular issues. It mentions there.
Cardiovascular system.
Well, it would be the endothelium.
Yes.
See, the endothelium is the lining of our arterial walls. And over time, they start to harden. They would call it arterial sclerosis. And when that takes place, then we end up with possibility of plaque buildup. And before you know it, when we have a clot that's traveling through our circulatory system, usually the very elastic arterial wall will open up and the clot can go through it. But when they start getting hard, they can't expand, and that clot now gets hung up there. And if it's before the heart, there's a heart attack scenario, or if it's going to the brain, then we can have a stroke. So when we're dealing with these conditions, like cardiovascular conditions, a lot of times we've been told, in fact, for years by the medical community that cholesterol has to do with hardening of the arteries and heart disease. And what we know today is that's not the case. In fact, our body needs cholesterol. What's happening is we're having a breakdown in our stem cell function, along with inflammation. And these are conditions like inflammation and disease and illnesses and traumas that break down the functionality of our stem cells. And so what we would do, of course, and in this case, we want to go after the stem cells and rejuvenate them. And of course, if we can rejuvenate the stem cell, that's going to get them back to functioning at par, hopefully optimal levels, and start healing that endothelial tissue or the blood tissues, because it has to do with aneurysms. It has to do with many things. Even ED for men with erectile dysfunction, it's all about blood circulation. And so very, very key, very, very important to address this.
And about these stem cell activators, especially the one we're talking about with the blood, they're all natural, they're all plant-based, they do not interfere with any medications or supplements. They're easy to take. Dr. Joe will be showing you how to take them. They're just so easy. They're little drops, and you just take them first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. It's the easiest thing. And we've had such tremendous testimonials that come in, amazing stuff.
I think many times when we hear from people that are taking the activators, regardless of what condition and which ones, when they let us know either by email or call-ins, some of the results are near miraculous, and it's very, very satisfying to be a part of someone's health and to help them rejuvenate their health and get it back in order. Because you can have a lot of things going in your life, but when your health is upside down, then you're pretty much now spending all your money to regain your health. So this is taking activators is a great way as a preventative measure. But certainly if you're being reactive, then maybe sidestepping the normal approach, which is conventional medicine, where you're going to medicate yourself, which only manages symptoms. And if all we're going to do is manage symptoms, our root cause that's actually the body sending up these symptoms is only going to get worse. And so that condition is going to spiral downward. Yes. And over time, you're taking more medications, but your condition's not improving. And if it's not improving, it's getting worse. And consequently, with the additional medications you're taking, now you're building up more toxicity in the body, making your body almost impossible to heal. And you're going to get to a point. You can get to a point of diminishing returns. In other words, you can allow your condition to go on and on and on. Like a lot of people say, well, I don't want to go to the doctor. You know, I'm afraid to go. And I get it. Nobody wants bad news. But by ignoring it, what happens is you may get to a condition where even these cutting edge technologies and therapies can't help you. So we have some very, very cutting edge, and I'll tell you how cutting edge it is. If you go to talk to your physician, say you have an issue that Lori had mentioned as far as some of the possible applications, and say you're thinking of taking stem cell activators to activate your stem cells, there's probably a 90% chance your physician never heard of it. And it's not that these are strange and weird, it's because it's so advanced and it's going to get, society's going to catch up to it. That's why we're doing these shows and these teachings to educate the general public so that you have more options when it comes to taking care of your health.
I just wanted to tell a little testimonial about a lady whose mother passed away because she had really bad varicose veins. They were very protruding. She tried to have them taken out, it never worked. And she actually had a very bad condition with her varicose veins. Well, her and her sister both has the same condition that their mother had. So of course they're very worried. So the one sister started taking the BLD and the other one didn't. Well, the one with the one taking the BLD, it was only a month and a half into it. Her other sister came over and she goes, "Oh my gosh, your varicose veins are gone.
Wow.
What in the world are you doing?" It was amazing. And she goes, "I'm taking these little stem cell drops called BLD for the blood." And it just shows you how it helps her, even her spider veins and her varicose veins. It was amazing that she was so excited that she didn't need surgery. She was just taking these little drops.
Sure, and there's the proof in the pudding. It's like, you have my father. He had varicose veins, and they were huge. They were the size of your finger. That was outside the actual skin, or pushing the skin out. And he had have some of them surgically removed. But the complications can occur because of poor circulation and a litany of like a domino effect to your health. Here, this daughter, the one that took it, there's a great example. One took the stem cell activator, the other didn't. This one saw them shrink. And if you do nothing but take stem cell activators and you see a positive response, then you gotta agree that it's the stem cell activator activating your stem cells.
Well, of course, her sister started taking them and she got the same result. But it's amazing what just a little bit of a dropper. All you have to do is put 20 drops. Just like this.
A drop is a simple little drop. Some people have done this, and they say, "Is this a drop? A whole dropper full?" And no, it's just one simple drop. So you count off 20, and if you can count to 20, we're in good shape.
So you do 20 drops in 2 ounces of water, just a little bit of water, and you put it in your mouth swish it around for 20 seconds. Swallow, wait 20 minutes before you put anything else in the mouth. So before you brush your teeth or eat or take your medicine, just do it first thing in the morning. That's all you have to do. It's the easiest thing to do. It's just the very first thing you do.
On an empty stomach.
Then you wait. And you wait, and then you give it 90 days. We always say, give anything natural 90 days to make a difference.
Yeah, I like to suggest that because if we can build up a serum level, see, sometimes we want to take something today or tomorrow and then see what happens. Well, we want to build up a serum level. In other words, an average amount of these stem cell activators in your blood system, going through the system, getting to the organs or the tissue to do the job. So 90 days is not necessarily you have to wait that long to see results, because we get people calling in that say in 2 weeks they feel improvement here or there, or some not until 120 days. Your condition is specific to you as an individual. But as you mentioned before, you take them on an empty stomach before and after either eating or drinking, but medications. And that lends me to say that these do not interfere with your medications.
That's right.
So if you're a little concerned, if you're on a medical program that has you on several different medications, these will not interfere with them. So you don't have no fear of that. There's no allergic reactions caused by these because they're 100% natural. And they have the nanotechnology added to that, which reduces the molecular structure so it can travel through the body, but they're like 6 million times more powerful. That's why they do such a great job at rejuvenating your stem cells, but they're harmless to the body. So it's absolutely a wonderful way to heal.
And that's what we like about it, is that they target.
So many people are dealing with aneurysms. We know Lori's dad passed because of an aneurysm, and it was unattended. And a lot of times we don't realize that we have it, but people do. They're diagnosed with aneurysms. And what do you do, doc? And we're getting some results with this. So maybe you want to share that because I think it's very pertinent.
When my dad passed away, his was so large they couldn't surgically do anything with it. He didn't even know he had it. So, but this particular, it says, my mom is suffering from an aortic aneurysm in her belly. It was 5 centimeters in March. We put her on the blood, and they also did the heart activators.
So that was 2 different activators.
She had an appointment for her ultrasonogram scheduled in September. So it was just over a week ago. Her aneurysm shrunk 9 millimeters. Now it's 4.1 centimeters. This really works. Yeah. So, and everybody's different. Not everybody's going to get the same results, but we're always in the mode of saying, why not try it? Yeah. Why not give it at least 90 days to 120 days? Just see, or whenever you're going to get retested by your doctor.
Yes.
Give it a chance to make a difference and see if it's going to make a difference for you. Why not try it? It's worth trying.
When you have a physician that's attending to your health, and they are monitoring a particular condition, that's going to be a way to monitor the success of the activator. Now, how you respond and how long it takes, if you're being monitored, if you're doing follow-up work, whether it's blood work or tests, whatever it may be, then you can see if you're moving in the right direction. And the direction we want to move into, we call it homeostasis, but it's where our cells are in balanced health. Because believe it or not, if we took off our 7 to 9 pounds of skin, we would be nothing but trillions and trillions of cells communicating with each other. And when these cells can't communicate, then our physiology breaks down. And the body naturally starts sending up these warning signals, we call them symptoms. And conventional medicine says, let's go and address these symptoms. Well, that's okay in a clutch situation, but long term, you want to go to the root cause. So hopefully what you learned a little bit here about blood and related issues can give you a little more hope if you're kind of at the crossroads of not knowing what to do. But really it's up to them, right, Lori? It's up to you to make the decision what you want to do. But take advantage of what you're hearing today, and hopefully you'll have it better tomorrow.
If you would like to order our stem cell activators or Dr. Cristiano's book, Stem Cell Revolution, please call 1-800-259-2639 or go to our website at bodyredesigning.com.